Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon. Today I thought I would tell you about all the books I read in January 2025. New Year's off to a start. I had a good month. I read 11 books this month. I credit my Winterween reading vlog for that because I knocked a bunch out that week. It was just a good reading month all around. So first of all, I'm going to start with the one book I reread this month, and then we're going to go in order from lowest rated to highest rated. So the book that I reread was Antilia by Peter Hammerberg. I've talked about this book before on my channel. I reread it this month for our podcast. Me and my friend Krista have a podcast where we talk about books. And yeah, we reread it. And we also got to have a conversation with Peter after. So 2 episodes went up this month. One is the regular one on the book, and then a second one where we talk to the author. And it was really fun, as always. It's always great to talk to him. Anyway, Antilia is about a man named Alexander Grimstead, and he has recently suffered a terrible loss. His wife was murdered in a really graphic fashion right in front of him, and it kind of threw him into a spiral where he was just sort of wasting away. And then he is snatched by this group called the Order of the Lucifuge, and they want him to come on an adventure and help him, basically. So we got a lot of, they're looking for the mythical island of Antilia. It's this island that when you look at many maps, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And we meet all kinds of fun characters along the way, and it's just a fun adventure story. Like, if you love a good sort of sci-fi adventure story, I think you would love this a lot, and I would recommend. So like I said, that was a reread, and I loved it just as much this time as I did last time. I'm trying to find my pen. So now we're gonna go from lowest rated to highest rated, like I said. So here we had 1, 2, 3 stars. That was the lowest rated this month. Love that. So we have Claire Darling by Callie Kazumi. This book is about a woman who, one day her long-term boyfriend doesn't come home from work, and she's calling him, he won't return her calls, and she goes to his job to see what's going on. When she gets there, his boss is like, oh God, no, he hasn't worked here in months. So she's like, what is going on? What is going on? And from there, it just kind of becomes a mystery answering that question, what's going on? I found it to be really predictable, unfortunately, because I wanted to love it, and I enjoyed it. It was really predictable and didn't do a whole lot for me. But if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. And the other book at number 3 was Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This one, I really wanted to love this one too. This one sort of took some things too far for me, for my liking. It's beautifully written. I've got her forthcoming book, Vanishing World, like on the docket, ready to go in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to read more from her. This one in particular, though, it's about, and when I tell you what it's about, you're gonna be like, oh, that's cute. And the cover, right? So cute. No, it's not cute. The story's not cute. But it's about this young girl. She's a young girl when we meet her, and what is her name? Oh, Natsuki. So Natsuki, she's a young girl, and she doesn't really have a lot of friends, and she's really abused verbally and like mentally and emotionally by her parents, especially her mom. And so every summer they go to their grandparents' house, and their cousins are there, and like that's the only time she's happy, because she has this one cousin named Yu who she loves so much, and she loves getting to spend time with. And so she goes there, and he's there, and they get to spend time together. Then the relationship gets a bit too intense, and their parents are uncomfortable by it. I am understating all of this so much. Their parents are uncomfortable by it, so they're not allowed to see each other anymore. And like the next time she sees him, it's like many, many, many years in the future, decades. Then we come to like the present day when she's about to get to see him again, but in the present, she's married to this man, and he's kind of asexual because she's not really interested in a sexual relationship. So she found him on a website looking for this sort of marriage of convenience, and it works well for both of them until it doesn't. And it's incredibly, like, I love a good, weird, messed up book. This one was too much for me. I still gave it 3 stars because I can appreciate how well written it is, and some people will love it. But just for me, it wasn't the right kind of weird for me. But still 3 stars, decent rating. I enjoyed the writing. After that, we had Stag Dance by Tori Peters. This is a collection of short stories and a novella. They're all different. Of course, it's hard to talk about short story collections like this, but like in a video like this, because you don't want to say too much. But they're all very different, like different genres. I loved that about it. And this one was 4 stars for me. They're all sort of different stories about identity and being trans, and I enjoyed them all. The title story was my least favorite, but even that one I enjoyed. But the first and second one, I think, were my favorites, and would definitely recommend. I've heard good things about this author. I know they wrote a book called Transition Baby, and I haven't read that one yet, but I look forward to it. Ooh, next up, Not Too Bold by Hashe Peo. I hope I'm saying that right. This one got 4 stars for me as well. This is on the shorter side. I think it's a novella, and it's about it's kind of a monster romance, a sapphic monster romance at that. There's this like spider creature, and she runs this estate, and she has a lot of people working for her. And when you come to work for her, you know you're probably never going to leave. Like, you're going to live here and die here. And the main woman, I can't remember what it's called, but like sort of the lady's maid, she dies. Oh, the Keeper of the Keys. She's called the Keeper of the Keys. She dies in a terrible sort of misunderstanding, I guess we could say. And so our main character, she's being brought forward as the new Keeper of the Keys, and this is like a deadly position that always ends in death. And so this monster creature spider, whose name I can't remember, she starts to develop feelings for this one. And because like she's had a parade of brides come in, but she's never satisfied because she won't let them see her face, because she doesn't want them to be grossed out by her. She doesn't want her feelings hurt in that way. And so this Keeper of the Keys, as they get closer, she's like, I don't mind what you look like. And it sort of develops into this friendship, into something more, perhaps. And I enjoyed it a lot. 4 stars. Next up, another 4 star, we have The Grown Up by Jillian. Is it Jillian or is it Gillian? Sometimes I say Gillian, sometimes I say Jillian. I do not know which is correct. Gillian, we'll say. This is a tiny story. I read this for Winter Wing because I saw Katie Coulson talking about how much she liked it. And it's interesting, there's sort of acknowledgements where it says she wrote this for George R.R. Martin because he wanted her to tell him a story. So this one is about this woman who grew up with this sort of grifter mother who was a prostitute, and she sort of falls into the same sort of lifestyle, but she also becomes a fortune teller, like a psychic, and she makes money that way. And she starts working with this woman who invites her into her house because there's something wrong with her son. And she just kind of is trying to help as best she can because she can see it's a messed up situation. But of course, she doesn't have any innate psychic abilities. And like I said, 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. And then for the members only book club, which if you would like to join, go to my channel and you'll see a little button that says join. You can pick a tier you want to join, and most of the tiers, I think 2 of the 3 tiers, have access to the book club. And this month, or last month, we read Christmas Presents by Lisa Unger. This was a good one too. I gave this one 4 stars. So this was about a woman. Isn't it always? It's always about a woman. Christmas Presents is about a woman named Madeline who works in a bookstore, and a true crime podcaster who's also an author, and he comes into her bookstore one night and he wants to dig into an old true crime story that happened in this town and that she was involved with, and he wants to dig into it, and she is not interested in the slightest. She wants to take that and pack it up and put it behind her and never talk about it again. And everybody else in the town who was involved feels exactly the same way. And meanwhile, there's another missing girl, because the old case involved the murder of, the near murder of Madeline, the murder of another girl, and then 2 missing girls. And now currently there's another girl gone missing in a similar way. So it all ties together, and I loved it. Our book club pick for February is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's not too late because we're not doing the meeting until the 15th, I believe. 13th or 15th. I think 15th. I'll double check. So join now and join us, and let's read Six of Crows and let's talk about it. My final 4-star for this month was by Stephen Graham Jones. After the People Lights Have Gone Out, this is a collection of short stories. First of all, look at that cover. That's creepy. Yeah, I loved this. I loved it. Again, short story collections are hard to talk about in a couple of minutes in a monthly wrap-up, but basically it's a horror collection with all different kinds of stories. I loved them all. Most were 4 or 5 stars for me. There was one or 2 that were 3 stars. So overall, 4 stars. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm enjoying so far this year, getting ready to dive into his backlist. I got 3 or 4 sitting on my shelf that I'll be reading throughout the year. And I can't wait, plus his new release in July, which I'm going to pre-order, and also anxiously await its arrival on NetGalley so I can read it early and then get the pre-order when it comes out. And speaking of Stephen Graham Jones, the first of 3 5 stars that I read this month, The Buffalo Hunter. This is an interesting take on a vampire story. I read 2 books this month that were very fresh takes on vampire stories, and this was one of them. It's historical fiction, and it goes hard. It goes hard. It's about this priest who is visited in his church by this mysterious guy who has a compulsive need. He needs to confess. He needs to confess to this man in particular. And of course, as the story goes on, you start to piece together the why, and it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking in the way that Stephen Graham Jones is always breathtaking. So good. So good. Definitely read that. It comes out in March. Then also for Winterween, I read A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Malerman. This was 5 stars for me. It was a novella. It was quick, and I couldn't get enough. I loved it. I wasn't expecting it to love it this much, because I read Incidents Around the House and I liked it. But this one I loved. It's so simple. It's about this 2 young teenagers. This boy meets girl and he asks her to go out on a date, and she says yes, and he's so excited, and he decides to take her to a lake, and they go. And while they're there, they think they see the roof of a house at the bottom of the lake. They've gone to this sort of secret hideaway part of the lake, and they're like, is that the roof of a house? And so over the course of the next few weeks, they explore it, and they become obsessed with it. And I loved it. I loved the open, kind of ambiguous ending. I loved it. So if you're looking for a nice, short, quick read, A House at the Bottom of a Lake. And then the final 5-star was my most recent read this month, and the other vampire story, and that is Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. And I loved it. It's also historical fiction. It takes place in 1887, and there's twin sisters, and they are one works as the companion for an older widow. One got married and lives in an estate in the city, and she's sick. Her correspondence starts becoming erratic and difficult to understand. And she's like, what is going on? Then eventually her husband Michael's like, listen, Lucy, you need to come here because something's not right with Sarah. So she does. And she so begins the discovery of what's wrong with Sarah. And, well, like I said, it's a vampire story. So that gives you a hint on what's wrong with Sarah. Anyway, you guys, that is going to do it for me for today. Thank you so much for listening, or watching, I should say, or listening. Watching and listening. We've got lots of fun stuff coming up. Like I said, we got the Six of Crows. I don't know if the is in there. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I'm currently reading a Christopher Pike book to do my second entry into like rediscovering Christopher Pike, because he was a favorite of mine when I was a kid. He's what got me, he's why I am like this, why I love horror books so much. My librarian used to put them aside for me when she'd see one that I hadn't checked out before. And they just bring back such fond memories. And I can very clearly remember reading this one when I was a kid. So I won't say more. We'll save it for the video. And then just lots of great books coming up this month. Join the members if you would like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you made it this far, leave a pen emoji or a pencil, some sort of writing utensil. And I will see you guys again really soon. Bye.